Shalom, welcome to Out of Africa Torah Session. My name is Tatra Cohen, and this week we are on Parashat 1. We are back to 1. It's a beautiful thing, and we begin with Bereshit, in the beginning. It is coming from the portion in Genesis 1 all the way to chapter 6 verse 8. I would like to read briefly as we begin. In my complete Jewish Bible here it says, "In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was unformed and void, darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God hovered over the surface of the waters." Verse 3 says, "Then God says, let there be light. And there was light." God saw that the light was good, and God divided the light from darkness. And 5 it says, "Then God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So there was evening and there was morning the first day." This is a beautiful thing to begin the Torah portion, or to begin the circle of the Torah, of the entire book of commandments, as we shall see. Now it presents us with a very good narration of creation. But guess what? They say where there are two Jews, there are three opinions. It is always a beautiful thing to be a Jew. Prior to that, we see there was a very big argument, or a conversation rather, if you would wish. And I like what Rabbi Isaac says in this big argument of how the Torah, or the book of commandments, began. Rabbi Isaac argues that the Torah should have begun with the verse probably in Exodus chapter 12, which tells us to say, "This shall be to you the first of months." So Rabbi Isaac continued to say, this was the first commandment given to Israel. It would have made much sense if the Torah, since it is the book of commandments, would have begun with this verse. It makes great sense, I think. The book of commandments should have begun with the first commandment. It makes perfect sense. Now, contrary to that, why did it begin with in the beginning? Why did it begin with Bereshit? It began thus because it wished to convey the idea contained in the verse which is Rabbi Isaac refers to, the verse in the book of Psalms, chapter 111 from verse 6. Allow me to read. It says, "The power of his acts he told his people in order to give them the estate of the nations." In other words, God was showing his power of creation and everything, so that when he begins to give each one of us his creation a portion, it would justify this because everything belongs to him. So that if the nations, Rabbi Isaac continue to argue and present his case, so that if the nations would then ask and say to Israel, "You guys are robbers, sons of Jacob, because you took by force the land belonging to the 7 nations." You remember those 7 nations who were formerly the inhabitants of Canaan before it was given to the sons of Jacob. Israel might then respond and say to those people who would say, "You robbers, you took the land by force," like what we are witnessing today. Israel is supposed to respond and say, "The whole earth belongs to the Lord, to the Holy One. Blessed be He. He created it and gave it to them. And by His will He took it from them." That was exactly the will of God, the one who created heaven and earth, to take the land which formerly belonged to the Canaanites and give it to the children of Israel. This is the case Rabbi Isaac is presenting. It is indeed a great case, that the Jewish people should not feel any remorse concerning the land of Israel. It is theirs because the Creator of heaven and earth gave it to them, as we have seen in the Word of God. Now, we are also told by our sages, even yourself, if you go and read, you find that the land of Israel, or the promise of the land, appears in the book of Bereshit 7 times. The Lord first promised it to Isaac, to Abraham. He also promised it to Isaac, and later on he promised to Jacob, and these promises amounts in only in the book of Genesis up to 7 times. According to our sages, the Torah has many themes which it presents, but the land of Israel is the central theme that the Torah presents. So much work should be dedicated to it. The Torah's narrative is all about Israel and the Jewish people and the Jewish destiny. So why then should a place, land and location be tied to a religion? It shows us that Judaism is not primarily about the personal salvation as many people claim, especially from different walks of faith. Rather, it is a collective redemption. Then therefore, since it is a collective redemption, it makes us social beings. You are not saved until your brother is saved. You are not saved until the whole Israel is saved. So we can clearly see that the promise of the Torah is that God should be found everywhere. But before he is found everywhere, he should be found in a particular place, in a very localized place, in a specific place. And that is the Jewish people, the land of Israel. God must be found in a place, somewhere, before he is found anywhere else. And that very place is the Jewish people. It is the place of Israel, the specific place to hold the physical presence of God, which give hope to the rest of the world that God is present. How do we know? Because he is present in Israel. And according to my experience and many people who have visited the land of Israel, they will tell you one thing. They say, if you are in Israel or when you are in Israel, this is the place you feel the presence of God is so evident. I agree with all of them. God should be found in a specific place before he is found anywhere else. Finally, this was Rabbi Isaac's response to the question of why the book of commandments open up with the creation. It was to show that the entire creation belongs to God. But he also gave the land, plants, animals to the people, tongues, nations, tribes, and everything under the sun. But as he did that, he also gave a small portion of this land, very tiny of it, to the people of Israel, the sons of Jacob, as we have seen in the story of the founding of Eretz Israel, so that they may live in that land. And as they live there, God would live among them, thus making the presence of God evident. Now, some may question the right of Israel to be in the promised land. Surprisingly, those who question the right of Israel to be in the promised land are sadly those who are subscribers to the what I call monotheistic faith of our father Abraham. These are none other than Christians, Muslims who claim to be followers of Abraham. If they believed in the God of Abraham, would they question that God gave this land to the descendants of Abraham? Well, this is the question I would like to leave you with today.